football and his disillusion about the modern game, which is something that I totally share, thinking players are vastly overpaid and jumped up and all that. But what it did spur me to do was think about the joy that I actually got from playing football, particularly in my teenage years. I was brought up in a big council estate in East Leeds, and football was a really big thing there. Every street had its own team, and periodically we'd play each other, and there were more battles than matches, you know. Euphemistically, you could describe the area as rough and ready, you know. It wasn't exactly the stockbroker belt, it was more the spam belt of Leeds, you know. But, so I want to try and bring that bit of Yorkshire to you. Right. Our street team was called Altamore Rovers, and we agreed to take on Kendall Drive. There were some bloody tough kids in our team, but we knew in this game we'd be lucky to come out alive, because they had Chopper Ashworth, Graham Caslin and Big Tommy Bones. Alright, we had me, Arthur and Berkey, but inside of them we were like garden gnomes. Berkey, our captain, said, "Listen, gather round lads, we must have a plan. Someone must stop Chopper Ashworth. And Cooney, I think you're the man." I said, "Berkey, you've got to be joking, eh? Tell me you're having a laugh. Chopper's a headerball, a savage, a nutter, a clinically diagnosed psychopath." Now, problem was not only Chopper, there was the matter of Big Tommy Bones. Now, to know that he'd take some stopping, you didn't have to be Sherlock Holmes. Big Irish Tommy would take on all comers, without ever giving a fig. He recently failed auditions for King Kong. They told him he was just a little too big. To be fair, he weren't the most skillful. There were others who had much more flair. Give him some half-decent crosses, and your keeper just won't have a prayer. But to give you more of a picture, I'll tell you about our estate. It weren't a good place for cold calling, a mistake to walk home too late. The local pub was a rough house, and outside there'd often be brawls. In truth, some dwellings were filthy. Even rats and mice used to wear overalls. Kendall Drive was by far the worst street, not tolerant to neighbour or foreigner. Now, I know what you're thinking, there's a lot of tough streets, but not many that have their own coroner. In truth, living on Altamore Road was no picnic, but Kendall Drive mob, they'd think you were tough if you didn't pay for your catalogue, be court order, and have your electricity go off. Kendall Drive's captain was one Graham Caslin. He lost his finger last year in a fight. Brian Woodward lamped him with a pickaxe handle outside Altamore Pub one Saturday night. Now, day before match, I called to see Buckley, our goalie. I said, "Fran, are you ready for the big day?" He said, "Paul, I don't think I'll be playing. My granddad has just passed away." It turned out he'd not returned from allotment, where he'd gone to cut a cabbage and fetch a few greens. I said to him, "Good grief, whatever did you do?" He said, "It's all right, my mum with a big tin of beans." Now came the day of the battle, so to Beckfields we did stride. It was agreed we'd play for 4 hours, but limited to 27 aside. Now usually we didn't have real goalposts. Jumpers were as good as it gets, but Social Club had agreed to lend us their pitch, and them posh buggers, they've got real nets. Fearing a bloodbath, Vicar said he'd referee it. Who better than a man of the cloth? Unfortunately, he was open to bribery, so in fist half with 2 players sent off. To be fair, he wasn't a bad man. Oh, he cared about the spirit within, so Kendall Drive had plied him with Jack Daniels, topped off with some cheap Tomcat gin. Now, Kendall Drive had a real tricky winger who made Mick Foley look like a clown. I could fully understand his frustration, but he'd no need to just side him right down. From the free kick, Chopper Ashworth kicked the ball as hard as he could. It struck Berkey in the shoemakers. I'm afraid it didn't do him a real lot of good. It struck, Now he was riding in agony when our trainer ran on with his sack. He meant to use freezing cold ice spray, but in confusion he used fiery jack. The last we saw Berkey, he left the field running like heck. We were told later he stripped naked and died dead first and took back. Now we'd lost our captain, how could we stop the rot? Vicar had gone and blown his whistle and pointed to penalty spot. Arthur said, "Vicar, that weren't handball. You could see Berkey's knackers had turned black and blue." Vicar said, "It was for ungentlemanly conduct. It's here in the rule 42. So up stepped Chopper Ashworth, and that's when things degenerated to farce. Charging up to take penalty, he slipped on some dog mud and ended up flat on his arse. Referee ordered a retake and Mickey Bones put the ball on the spot. He didn't even take a run up, but into top corner did slot. 1-0 to Kendall Drive. Second half started better for us. Arthur Peel had taken command. He said, "Now that we've lost Berkey, I'm taking over captain's armband." Now I hit a long ball to Woody, and to be fair, he centred it quick. Arthur was hovering at the back post, smashed it in with his trademark bicycle kick. By now it was getting exciting, and a nail-biting finish seemed on, but when Kendall Drive won a corner, it seemed our chances of winning had gone. Graham Caslin cracked the ball over, looking for Big Tommy's head, but Buckley raced out of his goal and punched it to our left back, Flack-eaten Ted. Ted thumped the ball as hard as he could. He really gave it a whopper. This is where I took my life in my hands, as I deftly nutmegged that mad bastard Chopper. I continued the move with a slide rule pass that landed at the feet of Mick Foley. It only needed a tap in, but his size 10 army boot flew off completely, concussion their goalie. Reverend said, "Match is abandoned. We must get keeper to St James's A&E. And I'd normally be first to go with him, but it's happy hour and first 11 pints are for free." Kendall Drive had brought 50 supporters and they were a disgruntled bunch. They started chasing me and Arthur, and I don't think it was to invite us for lunch. Arthur said, "We'll hide in graveyard and make sure you don't make a sound." I said, "Arthur, we can't be doing that, we'll be hiding in constipated ground." I said, "Arthur, look over yonder. Can you see that leaning on shed? We shot out of there at 60 mile an hour, having stolen the vicar's moped." "Don't worry, we both got home safely, but it was no fun having to flee. Billy said, I'll call round for you later, if you fancy a kick about right after tea."